pa tuce tempe chinle yarmoda belge drolor zambe ze parche pande lame shabla solvade Oma Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om A Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om A Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dagi Jitsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendu So Oyon Sungi Nawa Tsedu So Seji Ningne Solwa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Lekshune Ila Sambe Dede Malupa Geme Lungi Drupra Chingelo Tsoni Sodan Dikdun Shape Tse Dungi Namke Yinsu Lekshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonsu Tsopa Dan Chera Nidun Chanwara Chingelo Chancho Pargi Ninsen Tukun Tu Niu Peme Siudru Lekshune Chanchu Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen de la Drubrach Dagi Lona Chela Chokpadan Chemin Samjur Ngimba Shiwadan Chedan Tumbe Dede Malupa Beme Lungi Drubra Chingelo Dorna Tingne Tsera Tamchedan Techi Pardu Nekab Tamchetu Rese Kyamne Lama Kele Me Tukche Chingi Dala Siksu Sol Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dachala Chetsun Lame Tuche Rabgongne Kodan Sunge Nawa Dralme Tu NgalSo Nyongwe Kesan Toprasho Kewa Kuntu Yanda Lama Dan Rame Chiki Pela Longche Chin Sadan Lamge Yunte Rabzone Dorje Change Kopa Nyur Tobe Sho Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Alu Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tukdan Dagi Yi Tenyerme Chiktu Chingi Lo Makyuke Kudan Dagi Lu Makyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Makyuke Tukdan Dagi Yi Tenyerme Chiktu Chingi Shankya sa shi pu ki chu shi me to Rama re ra ba ling shi ni de ge pa di Sangye Shintu Mikte Ulawarki Drokunam Da Shingla Chopar Shoyi Dam Guru Ratna Mindrala Kam Niryata Yami Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchra Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchra Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchra Sangye Drupar Sho
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
The Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Namo yal haye ke da ludan chen ke drupon da da mi ke nam da drwa kuin ke dhanama che tsampa tham che ke to da ge che ten to tham che ke to da ge che ten. Buongiorno.
Good morning.
Mi stavo ricordando
I was remembering in two different occasions and contests. One, when I was in Tibet, I was going to visit my master, Cancello Sampun Sukri. It was early morning, and going there, I was in front of a young guy who was carrying the water to the monastery. I told this story sometimes, even if the guy was born in Tibet, 4,000 meters of high, carrying on their shoulders several liters of water. At the beginning, on these steep steps, he was a little bit tired. He was in front of me. I was going slowly. Then he let me pass over. Then I was thinking about why they don't put a pipe, a water pipe, with a tap. With my practical mentality, I watched down. In the downstairs, there was a tap of the water. At least at the house of the Obbat, it's not so complicated to set up a pipe, bring up the water to the next floor. When I was finished the teachings, I went to my sister. Sorry, but can I help out to bring the water upstairs? And he answered me in a way that I never thought. Beside the practical aspects, he said, what is happening if the young people don't learn to put effort and consistency in the basic things like carrying the water, get their own water, how they could manage with the more complex and deep situations like applying oneself to meditation. This is coming from the fact that we learn through repetition and habits, creating habits. Lama Rinpoche many times he was saying to us, who is too fast should learn to go slowly, who is too slow need to be hurry up, who talk too much should learn to don't speak so much, and vice versa, who didn't like to travel should learn how to travel, and vice versa. When we go out of our comfort zone, is there where we put ourselves into play. But the main point is that we are malleable beings and we can transform according to the different situations in where we are, and we find ourselves. We come from a reality culture. It is not even a culture because it is all over the planet. In all the culture, there is this law, this idea that for me it's a trick, something wrong, which is the law of minimum effort and maximum comfort. We have this idea that to be happy, the less I have to work, the better, more comforts I have, more pleasurable are the situation, the more happy I will be. When we find ourselves in front of something in the life, should we try to facilitate our things or to complicate our life? Theoretically, we try to facilitate our situations. Then I have a way of saying that I create myself. Why we have to do the simple things when we can make it more complicated? And many times this happens in life, but this is another aspect. Now we don't go into it. But our tendency is that if I can have the water just opening the tap, instead of carrying on my shoulders, what should I choose? I choose the tap. If I can have the electric light with a click instead of the lighting up a candle, what I will choose? I will choose the most easy way. If I can choose at the moment of it what I prefer to eat and what I don't like to eat, I will choose the one that I like more. And so we can go on with many examples for many things that we start from this basic principle that the less I work and more pleasure I experiment, the more I will be happy. I am happy. But what's happened in reality that when we do things, it's not only about the present moment experience that we are living, but it's mainly in which manner that experience transforms us. What I'm familiarized myself with. If the boy who was carrying the water is like the similar scene that you have in your imaginary, many of you for sure, the Karate Kid movie. What was the main scene? The clean and the wax. I don't remember the exact sentence in Italian. I saw when I was a teenager. So put on the wax, take out the wax. But why he was doing that? Why? Because it was important to put and take out the wax, or because he should train in something else? Or, for instance, a friend of mine, I remember a friend of his sang when Patrizia Beninca also was our friend. I would like to dedicate to her also, remember, she passed away. At a certain point of his life, she was very young. She has a strong addiction problem, and then she find help in a community in Canada to solve her problem. And she told me a path to reach to come out of these dependence addictions. And the things most important that she learned during that training, when one has an addiction so strong, the ego tries in many ways to get what he wants. Even if you think reasonable that it's not good for you, you have to find all the justification. Oh, maybe they're wrong. That you find the way, the excuses to not to give up. So the activity main that they have was to crash your ego. And when they say that the person was there and they start to say too much, according to me, they put them to do something that apparently unuseful. For instance, cleaning the toilets, in her case. You don't stop to clean the toilet until I will tell you. And then she told me one day, she cleaned one toilet for 8 hours. And they say it's clean. No, it's not clean. You have to continue. And then she said, they said it is okay only when they could see that she was completely crashed down in that idea, according to me, what I should do. This crashed down, this ego, and then she didn't come out. If it was not for this hard training, very hard training, she was not able to come out of that patterns of dependence, abuse of substances. So there are many things that we do where the point is not that the toilet is really clean. The point is to crash down, to break a pattern, an ego pattern, dynamic. So what we do, everything we do in the life is not only the practical, objective aspect of what I'm really doing at the moment. It includes also an aspect that in which way what I'm doing transforms myself. And which are the characteristics that are important for us, so at the end we could feel well, satisfied, and we can have a good influence to the world and the people to relate, try to support the others, be a good influencer for others, and feel well in ourselves. What are the characteristics that we need? We start from practical examples, quite trivial, but in reality they are not so ordinary. We are made by body, mind, and environment in reality. In the sense that there is nothing that happens in our mind that hasn't a correspondence in our body. And there is nothing that happens in the body that hasn't a correspondence in our mind, to our mind. And there is nothing that happens in the body and in the mind that has no correspondence and influence in the environment, as well as all the environment in which we interact that hasn't a particular effect on our body and mind too. So it's so important, this relation body, mind, and environment. It's an interdependence. Without one, the other cannot exist. What we are today, it's why? Because we interact in the environment that we live and the interaction that we have with the people. One of the difficulties in the modern times that we have is it's for instance anxiety, sleeplessness, in a hurry, agitation. I think that many of us experience that we know. So one of the mistakes that we do, and we search the cause, the reason why, and we try to find a solution for that. But, for instance, when we breathe, a short breathing high in the chest, and even especially if we breathe from our mouth is even worse, is going to activate our mind. So it brings much inner hurry, anxiety. One breathing, nasal breathing, way of breathing, naturally it will calm the mind, feeling the abdominal breathing. What's happened in the time starting from 1800? I'm not so good in remember the dates, but since we have inside our society the industrial revolutions in the 19th century, we start to change the way of eating and we start to have processed foods, industrial food. One of the things that changed was that we chew a lot before, and nowadays not so much. Why? Because if I have to choose an hard food to chew or the soft one, which one I would choose? The softer one. We came from the rule that we told before: minimum efforts, maximum results. Something that is pre-prepared, easy to find, they give me pleasure, possibly sweet or with oil, and so forth and soft. So one of the characteristics that brought us to that point in this lapse of time, about 2 centuries and a half, the form of the face of the people changed because we chew less and less and lesser than what we did before the past centuries. And the interesting thing is that the face bones, during the lifetime, they change form according to the use that we do. So the fact that we don't breathe, this force us to breathe with a short breathing, and then this way of breathing also increase when we can increase instead our bones, cranial bones, then we can also, as a consequence, breathe better. So what has to do the brioche with my anxiety? There's a strong relation, unfortunately. One of the the bigger challenge which I see before starting from the challenging of the deeper spiritual path is the challenge to live in an healthy way. So here, if we take the Buddhist teachings are always divided in 3 parts: body, speech, and environment. Because if we try to do everything all in the mind and without taking care of the body, we will not be able to succeed. It's like I try to face my anxiety only with the thought, it can help, yes, but it will solve the problem? No, because there is a strong physical component. How do I breathe, what I eat, in the context, in the environment where I live, and there are many, many factors that interact together. So for us, it's very important to take care at the best of our capacity to have an healthy life, starting from the body, passing to the word, and reaching to the mind. And then we talk about the body. It's not only have a correct conduct, that means avoid to kill, evitate to steal, and to have sexual misconduct. Avoid that. How I use my body in a way that is healthy. First, what are the physical conduct that damage me? A little of love and affection for myself. I have to try to avoid them. And the first things of the conduct of the body is like how we breathe. It's a simple thing that we do in any moment. Everybody does. But according on the way that we breathe, it's changed completely our reaction in the body and in the mind. So for me, it's quite strange. I don't know if it's the right word, strange or weird, that something so important, so present in our life, with this power, great power of influence in the way that we live and we are, is not taken in due consideration. I don't know if you're in your life, daily life, how often you have attention for your breath. How are you breathing? For instance, if we look the last generations, we have a problem as a society, as culture, that we eat too much and we eat bad. So there are many, many healthy problems coming from that. I was reading that 9 to 10 causes of death are caused by the lifestyle. And one of these is the way how we eat. But not only we have a society where we eat much more than what we eat before in the past centuries. We eat much more than what we need. It's so interesting, at least when I observe it on myself. Observing on myself. If I eat what I really need, I have more energy. If I eat too much, this extra energy I will consume into to digest what is not necessary, the food. The same thing is for the sleeping. When I wake up, it is the right time exactly. If I go back to sleep because I'm lazy, I like to sleep, I sleep more. When I wake up the second time, I feel more tired. And what is happening is that not only we have the quantity, increase the quantity of food, but not only, we also increase how many times we breathe for a day. Now we breathe much more. We breathe much more times in a short way, and this increases anxiety and the inner speed. So one of the important keys is how I nourish myself in a healthy way. Nourish me in a healthy way depends what I eat and how I eat, and also how I breathe. The energy that comes from our body is not coming only from the body, mostly it's coming also from the oxygen. And one of the things that also, when I understood this, it makes sense for me, that the quantity of oxygen, without coming in the technical details, the quantity of oxygen that we can absorb is not how much I breathe, but how long I'm able to keep all the breath, the better is for me. The slower it is, the better, the more I can absorb, and I can activate this calm feeling in myself of the nervous system. So one of the important things is for us to generate awareness on how I'm nourishing myself from the point of view of energy that I absorb from the air, for instance. And this looks trivial, looks simple, ordinary example, but it has a great importance. That's why in these days I will give a great emphasis on this point, on how we breathe, because we transform ourselves according with the situation that we live, and if we force ourselves to breathe in a better way, maybe many of you has already a deep awareness and capacity to breathe well, but who has not yet, we learn together to learn as much as possible, and then after we try to give continuity to that. Also because if you want to listen to the Dharma, if there is more presence, more awareness, more calm, this brings more clarity, mental clarity, and we can naturally absorb more. Otherwise, we are already skipping from one side to the other, and we don't get anywhere. So it's not only about the moment when we are breathing, the actual moment, but it's more the habit that I'm going to create. This was the main point which I want to emphasize today. Try to bring awareness in your daily actions, where the action in itself is superficial, shallow. But the most important thing is how we transform ourselves in that experience, in that interaction. I don't know if it's clear, but now we have a little problem here. Often, many of us, we don't know even in which direction we want to transform ourselves. So what I'm going to do, or we are going to do. For instance, if I believe and I have the clarity of the importance of the effort, of the resilience, the importance of put efforts in what is positive even when it's not easy. This, for instance, if you have this awareness, it brings you carry the water on your shoulders even without problem if I know that I can buy it at the supermarket. Because what I'm doing is not that I'm just carrying the water. I'm just training myself in effort, resilience, strength. And somehow it means also overcome, transcend that dynamic that we have to do things, as we would say in Italian, in English is result-oriented. Oriented principally through a result, specific aim, objective. I have to product because I want to reach that and obtain that. Full stop. It's not that important thing. The most important thing, and when I finish that process, in which way I transformed myself, in which way I interact on the transformation of the world that surrounds me, because the things in itself starts and finishes. The example which I give many times that comes quite clear when you have to wash the dishes when you go home. If I go home and I found that still the dishes are not washed, then say, I don't want to do it now. Then later will come another person, could do another person, or tomorrow someone else. And then what's happened when I reach there? I see the dirty dishes, I start to feel lazy, and then don't wash them. At a practical level, it doesn't matter so much. It does make a big difference because another person or whoever probably will wash them later, and it's okay. Or we accumulate them until I have to wash them all once myself. But what's happening in myself when it's coming this laziness? What is the laziness? Which is the lack of desire, united with the understanding that it is an important thing to do for me. The most I act with the laziness, the stronger it becomes. The side of the desire, what is good for me, what is pleasurable, if I follow that, the more tired and lazy I will do. If I don't wash the plates immediately, the dirty plates, I'm cultivating my laziness. So in this case, when I say that at home, I came back home, I feel laziness, but I wash them as well, the dirty dishes. It's not, the point is I face my laziness, I don't give the chance to success, and I put effort in the opposite side, and this is a quality, fundamental quality in life. The more we do the opposite, and the more we have this feeling that we have fear to work, fear to sweat, and this fear to sweat, to work for what you aim for, is very bad for us, because the suffering is more the suffering that is coming before things happen. I fear to do this. There is also one practice that we do sometimes, we call the 8 Mahayan precepts. There are 8 vows, and one of these is that you eat only one time at midday, and then you eat 12 hours, the day after, 8 hours later, one day after. When this person came and put this question, if I feel hungry, if you feel hungry, you feel the hungry. After a while, it finishes. Otherwise, you go to sleep with the hungry and you will eat the day after. It's not a tragedy, a world tragedy or war, because for one day you feel a little bit of hunger and the person becomes I don't know if I can do it. Then relax. I want to do it, but I cannot do it. What's happened is that I have more the suffering or the fear. Oh, if I will have hungry, because in the same moment, if you are angry, what is the simplest thing to do when we are not talking about extreme situations, banally, you cannot eat. What you can do to calm your mind? You distract it with something else. You bring the mind to another. It's interesting because our mind is make a prevision of what will come. For instance, when we are thirsty and we drink water, we immediately feel relief. No more thirsty until the water could enter and in the circulation of the body. It takes much more mind, but because we have the air, feel more dry or deshydrated, and so you have the sensation already. And even when you are so hungry, you eat a little thing, a little food, and you feel satisfied, because it's a conditioned reflex. What I want to say, when we have fear of suffering, in reality we suffer much, much more. Also for simple things, we become more frail, more weaker. What's happened is to put some training, to put some effort in something. This means also we don't have so much fear of the difficulties and the sufferings that can come, and that is one of the things that finally is healthy for us. It's good for us. So when I go home and I have the dirty wishes, I don't want to do it. The wisest thing to do could be wash it and shut up. Don't go around to say, oh, I washed the dishes for you all. No. Otherwise, we go to nourish another side that we don't want to nourish, and this is even more difficult to treat later. So if I go home and I see the dirty dishes, it's coming to my mentality to say, I have to show to other people that I'm better than them. And so comes this kind of arrogance and superiority, that I want to wash the dishes because I want to show that I'm so good and I'm better of the others. What is the wisest thing to do in this case? Don't wash the dishes. Why? Because in this way, otherwise, I'm going to nourish this bad feeling that's bad for me, to show that I'm superior and so forth. So what I want to reach as a first point here is that we have some internal resources, internal characteristic that help us to live better. Resilience, satisfactions, awareness, respect, gratitude, love, concentration, inner calm, altruism, many qualities. And then we have some other aspects of ourselves that are not good for us. The fear, anxiety, jealousy, envy, attachment, unsatisfactions, anger, arrogance, selfishness, and so forth. But how we can generate one instead of the others? Well, it does not exist a miracle that one receive a blessing and something suddenly become a miracle and these things will pass forever. Someone comes, they say, Lama, I have a lot of anxiety, please do something for me. I would like to do it, but this reminds me the abbot of the Chatri monastery, which passed away also this old monk together. We were together. We were there together in the monastery in Tibet with Lama Ganchen Rinpoche. Lama Ganchen was sitting in front. Behind was the abbot and was on his side. The car was going very slow because all the people of the villages came out to get the blessing. And Lama Ganchen one by one blessed thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it takes an hour. It took hour to reach, to cross these villages. And there was a place in particular that they say in dialect, the old people, that they used to say this way of saying, "Oh Lama, I take refuge for you. Please do in a way that I will not go to the hells." And the abbot answered, "If you don't go, I will not send you for sure." He was saying, like joking. What's happened, in fact, there is also a saying attributed to Buddha that say, I can't take away your sufferings like we sweep away the dirt with a broom. I cannot take away your mental poisons like we wash clothes from the dirt. What I can do, it's to show you what you have to cultivate and what you have to abandon. Then it's up to you. So I know that we would like very much to solve everything with a pill. I remember one T-shirt one time it was written, "There is a pill for everything. For every problem you have a pill that solves it." It would be nice if it would be like that. If there was the pill to enlightenment, even temporary, I will take it for sure. If they say, okay, take this pill so you become a sweet person, a peaceful, joyous person, and so forth, for sure I will buy many. I would buy many for all my life. So, but the point is that is not working like that. The point is, even when we take substances that help us to have a positive experience, then this creates dependence. And when we finish, it's give the opposite results. So, for this, for instance, I'm not favorable to any kind of substances to generate special experiences, because they're not solid, they don't sustain the experience. What's happened, any experience, every choice, any moment transform ourselves in a direction instead of another. So there is not a choice, I want or I don't want to change myself, transform myself. This is a romantic vision, illusory. If you want, you can transform yourself. It's not true. You are already transforming in any moment. Each one of us is transforming in each interaction, any choice we choose, and so forth. Every word we say. So I would like to start today from this awareness, the way on how I breathe in, the way I eat, and how I think, I interact constantly, transform ourselves. So one of the most important things for us is to bring more awareness on who I want to become, and consequently, how do I live my life in order to become like that. This is one of the most important things, but we have to think from the most gross level to go gradually to the subtle levels. The gross level is the body, the breathing, the posture, the way in we express ourselves, in the way that we eat, and so forth. So that's why today I would like to start, but then I was thinking we do a short introduction with breathing techniques together. then we will start breathing together in the next days, and then they will give an explanation. Tomorrow is one of my favorite texts, which is the Garland of the Jewels of the Bodhisattvas, written from the great master Atisha Dipankara Shigriana, which is represented at my right with the red hat on the wall, which is the master who brought in the 11th century the Buddhism in Tibet. In our traditions comes from Atisha. There are different masters who went later on. Atisha was a very special master who lives in India and then went in Indonesia to receive the teachings, and then he passed his last 12 years in Tibet, where he died. And during the life of Atisha, without going into details, is still today recognized like one of the main masters in the Buddhism. He has this lay practitioner, disciple, very close to him, Don Trompa. We have a representation here. When you see the entrance door, straight on top, there is one figure with long hair and the lotus flowers together in the middle of two with the red heads. In the middle there is one which is represented here in our temple. On top of the door there is the life of the mother of Buddha. The long panel represented the scene of the life of the Buddha. Straight on top, Don Tompa, it was the lay practitioner, the main lay practitioner of Atisha. E quindi for 12 years they lived together. Don Trompa was written his meetings with Atisha, with his master, his guru. And there were 23 meetings that together, putting all together at the end of each one, or Atisha or Don Trompa, they say one of the two, one verse, to synthesize whatever they talk in that meeting. And these verses that you assume all these meetings, put it together, they form this text called the Jewel Garden of the Bodhisattvas, where Atisha gives heart to heart his advices to these main disciples. I don't think that we could read all the teaching together. The text is short, but it's very deep, and each passage is very, very profound. So we could not continue, monsieur. Tensum chamche panche shi, abandon any doubt and put enthusiastic effort in what you want to realize, to obtain. So the first point that Atisha brings to us is our life is running continuously in any moment. It's not that at a certain point it stops and something happens. So the first step, fundamental step for us is the question, what do I want? Where I am going? Because it's not that we are stopped still. We walk in any moment. In any moment we are going in a direction or in another, as a person and also as a society. And one of the things that for me at least gave me some relief, some hope, I tell the story in the context. I told this story several times. I'm sorry if I'm boring you, but the context of the anecdote helps to remember the story. When I built the temple during the project, executive project, we have to find the places for the bathrooms. For several reasons, we choose to put the bathroom there where they are now, in the corner. One is for the respect where there is the temple. Then we don't put the bathroom upstairs on top, so on a side we choose, and also for the feng shui we choose to put it there. But then there is some problem. Usually, I don't know if you are familiar with the building process in in Italy, because there are many normatives that you have some limitations and norms to follow. So the center of the sample, we have only a certain amount of volume that we could use. So to do this and to find these places for the bathroom, was happening that there was no space, was not possible to separate sets of bathroom for female and male, ladies and gents. And then they say, no, Santi, this is not admittable, this is a public place, so we need a separate bathroom for men and women. I went in a meeting, I went there and asked, what are you doing here? Like a little bit, they didn't receive me well in the city hall. Then I say, our temple is out of your category because it's a different place. So can we do as we want? Yes. Even if you have to pass through us, our law, you could do it. Then I say, but we are in a temple. If the anti-bathroom is together for men and women, something can happen. I don't know, a romantic meeting in the anti-bathroom. I don't see any great problem. And then we did also in the bathroom that are not open, we did very close, so each one has his own privacy. We don't have noises or bad smells, completely comfortable. We did our best. And then I thought also at the time, but if it could be a problem, then we do one floor for the women, one floor for the men. It was a very practical question. Sometimes later, when the temple was finished, I received a message from Google Maps. I don't know why, because it reached to me, but anyway, what it was said, can you inform the information on the activities that you're carrying, are directing? There was a questionnaire, and then there is the parking place and whatever. It was in English between... there was a question in English. Do you have gender and neutral genders? You have neutral? Then I say, oh yes, we are modern. We apply perfectly to this new tendency. And I don't go in the discussion how I agree or not agree on the gender matter or yes, politics. And what I realized in that moment is something that few times ago would have been seen as a negative thing, now in a certain line is seen as something positive, a plus even. So in that days I was giving a teaching on the culture of peace, and I realized that the culture in general is made by our way of life. Culture, we say the Italian culture, for instance, is made by all the way that all the Italian generally eating or talking, how they relate to their families, in the families or through the institutions, or with the money, the way of dressing, whatever, many aspects in the daily life that forms a culture. So that's why when we go from a culture to one city and the other, it's changing the way of fun, to eat, to play, and so forth. So the culture, we say, is different. But the Italian culture, it does not exist independently from each individual culture of each Italian, because my individual culture is my way of eating, talking, and so forth. It's okay. When I change my individual culture, I'm bringing a change in the general culture. And this is one of the points that gave me much hope, because I can see I'm a part of the whole. There is not something independent, isolated. It does not exist this society in which I enter become a part. It's like if you are in the traffic in the car blocked and you say, how much traffic is there? Like if you are different from the situation, from the taxi, from the context. I'm a victim of the traffic, but all the traffic is made by all the people who say I'm a victim of the traffic, because I'm as well there together forming the traffic. It does not exist a society, a culture which is there, something autonomous, objective, that I become a part, or I get something against. So it's a togetherness made by many parts that together is made up what we call the Italian culture. So when there is a change in our style of life, naturally we bring a change to the general culture where we are. The most I can live in a healthier way and to have a coherent behavior, if I know, I don't know, I want, I don't want, I'm influencing the people who are coming now and what is coming, who will come after me, like a child who is growing in a society, is get the inheritance of this culture, of the place, of the family. Each one of us hereditate what was the result of our experience and ancestors and so forth, culture. So our process to live our life in with awareness and try as much as possible to live in a healthy way, to cultivate and develop those aspects that are good for ourselves, which we can call our virtues. It's also a way in which we are changing and influencing the world where we are living. Me personally, I found myself in a time that personally I don't agree in many aspects, that becomes very strong in a world which is very much polarized, which there is a lot of hatred, and we justify the violence, many wrong things where we are not going into now. But one of the ways that I can do is try to live with consistency, coherency, and try to be that world in the way that I want to live. Try to live in a coherent way, in accord with the world I want to live, or the world that I want to be live. And this the way to talk, this the way of judge, this is included. So when Atisha says abandon each doubt, means be clear with what you want and where you want to go. What is most important for you, what is to be, to do, to have, or to be. And when we have the clarity to know who I want to be and where I'm going, in that point, apply effort and practice. Put constant effort to realize what you want to realize. Often Rinpoche says the only miracle that exists is an hard work miracle. Day after day, slowly, these particular things aim that you want is manifesting. And this is the same wave with the health and with the inner peace and the world peace and external peace in the environment. So we do now together dedicate a moment to breathe, to allow ourselves to become back to the present moment, and then we go together to watch over our direction. But we have to remember that one of the third things that is in our direction is that we don't want to stay anymore in anxiety states or nervousness or too fast, living it too fast. Try to be present more. Be more present in the present moment, to have more mental clarity and to have more capacity. And even if this word is not so well said, but in a good sense, to have control of ourselves, not a negative control, but to know how to self-regulate and self-direct ourselves. And this is important thing. We do this very simple breathing exercise. When we do these breathing exercises, it's very important that each one should respect his own body, to respect his own limits. Never force yourself. So I will give some indications. If some people feel for me it's too long, is do less. Is do what is comfortable for himself or herself, and slowly one can increase prolong, for example, the time of breathing or holding the breath. So first of all, we sit with the back straight but not tense in a comfortable position. We find our own comfortable position.
Le spalle rilassate.
The shoulders are relaxed.
La testa leggermente.
The head is slightly forward. The mouth is relaxed, possibly with the tongue that touches the palate. The eyes are slightly closed and they look downwards. Simply we observe our own breath. We observe the movement of our body when we are breathing, the muscles that are moving, the abdomen, the chest, the diaphragm. We observe if our breath is deep or light, superficial, regular or irregular. We don't force the breath, simply we observe it. We live our breath in a natural and spontaneous way. Simply we observe ourselves. If we feel that the part of the body is tense, for instance the shoulders or the chest, we try slowly to relax that part. We breathe with the nostrils, with the nose. We observe the sensation at our nostrils of the air that enters and go out.
Osserviamo la temperatura dell'aria, che è più fresca quando inspiriamo, che di quando espiriamo, che è leggermente più calda.
You observe the temperature of the breath, of the air, which is fresh when we breathe in and slightly warmer when we breathe out.
Con gentilezza.
With gentleness, we direct our breath to a deeper breath and abdominal breath. When we inhale, we we feel our belly bringing the hair below the navel. And then we exhale out all the hair, slowly, slowly, but completely, without hurry. Breathe in, bringing the hair below the navel. And we exhale without hurry, slowly, slowly.
Quando inspiriamo,
when I breathe in a continuous flow, we continue to feel the belly and we fill up our chest, and we have a slight sensation to lift slightly up our shoulders. So we are full of air and we empty before the upper part of the chest, the shoulder, the chest, we empty, and then the belly. So then we repeat again, each one with his own rhythm, starting from the belly, feeling the belly. I fill up my chest, slightly the shoulders, and then I go down for the exhaling. Emptying. I breathe in, starting from the belly, and then the chest. And then exhale, emptying before the chest, and then the belly.
ancora qualche volta.
We repeat a few times. Breathe in from the belly, slowly up to the chest. And I exhale from the chest down until emptying the belly.
Inspiriamo.
Breathe in, counting up to 4, and then we breathe out, counting until 4.
Inspiro 4.
Breathe in 4, and breathe out in 4.
Portiamo la nostra
We bring our attention in the space that is created between the breathing in and the breathing out, and then between the breathing out and the next breathing in. We breathe in 4, we hold without counting, just to create awareness, and then we breathe out in 4, and we hold it before the next inhaling. I breathe in 4, I hold the breath, and I breathe out 4, and I hold. Breathe in 4, and so forth.
Inspiriamo con
Breathe in with 4, we hold with 4, we breathe out with 4, and we hold with 2. Breathe in 4, hold 4,
espiro.
breathe out 4, hold 2. Breathe in 4.
Piano piano andiamo.
Slowly, slowly, we extend the time while holding and breathing to the next holding. Breathe in 4, hold 6, exhale 6, and hold 4. If for someone is too long, they stay to the precedent 4, 4, 4, 2. Breathe in 4, hold 6,
Espiro 6.
breathe out 6, hold 4, breathe in 4, If one feels it comfortable, we can even prolong and extend the breathing. Breathe in 1 with 4, holding in 8, breathe out with 8, and hold in 8. If it's not comfortable, we can stick to our lower numbers. So breathe in 4, hold 8, breathe out 8, hold 4, breathe in 4, we keep our awareness of our breath in 4 phases without the need of count. I breathe in and I hold, I breathe out and I hold. We keep our breath awareness, and slowly we open our eyes, we move our hands, keeping our breath with awareness, holding the awareness of our breath. We try to keep the awareness of our breath, of our own breath. We bring a last reflection before concluding this session. I believe that our path, our life, our way of life, and the spiritual path that we are following, instead of being a direct line, it's more as a spiral. It has a spiral way of turning, that we turn, come back, and we start again from where we left. When we start again, it's like if we watch looking from upwards, it's looking like we are turning and turning on the same things. But then if we watch from aside, it ideally is like a spiral where through which we are changing position on the way. And the same thing happens with the teachings of the Buddha, for instance, the Four Noble Truths, the taking refuge, the refuge, and there are some aspects that with the passing of the time, it looks like that is the same thing, but in fact it's different. It's like doing a simple breathing exercise, which is not a real meditation, it's just a breathing exercise, that if you do with a certain consistency, it looks like that you're doing always the same thing, but each time is slightly different, slightly better or different. And in one of the main points that we touched before, when Atisha says abandon any doubt, that means have an aim, have a direction. And this, without get into details now, Buddha was explaining this when explaining the Fourth Noble Truths. In essence, our objective is made in two parts in general, also in life: what we want to avoid and what we want to experience. In generally, if we simplify things, each one of us try to avoid the sufferings, and we want to experience pleasure and well-being. But what is this suffering? What are the real aspects that I want to avoid? And what I want to cultivate. And even if this is something that we said many times, and many of yourself has listened and listen again and read again and again, and then someone come to me and says, oh, but this I understood. Okay, very good. That's why we repeat it, because to understand one time is not enough. It's excellent, but the point here is not to understand. The point is myself, where effectively I project my happiness. And we need a kind of brainwashing, positive brainwashings to repeat to ourselves to slowly change the direction where we put our energy at the point where we are. Because all these doubts that Atisha was talking, abandon any doubt, sometimes they're not the conceptual doubts. The point is not trust completely 100% something. In simple words, try to synthesize and don't become too long, and then perhaps we get lost and becomes too long. The question that arises is what is more important, where I project my happiness effectively. If the world that surrounds me should be as I want to, so that the people behave in a certain way, that the social conditions should be in a certain way, that physically I could have been like this, that the other person would do that, or economically reasons. Because I'm convinced that if each one of ourselves watched to oneself, there is a list of things that we want that could be different, would be different. I'm not talking only that we want that the war will finish, or all the wars personally I want that will finish. I'm talking talking about a small world around us, and this is extremely important to desire and affirm that all the wars should finish. But in our little day-by-day reality, the close life of ourselves, there is a list according to us that we need to apply, because if we want to be healthy, there are behaviors of other people that we think should be different. I think at least in my mind I have at least 4 in my list, personal list. There are economic situations, if they would be different, we will stay better. Yeah, why not? Also, this is an important aspect of life. But the reality, I try to say it with other words, but it's working like that. It happens often to me, people comes complaining from the behavior of another person. And this all, and so usually is going wrong, because if you come to talk to myself about the behavior of another person, we can spend hours criticizing the behavior of the other person. It will change in the other person something? All this bad talking? No. So if you come to talk better of the behavior of someone else, if we want to utilize our time usefully in order to bring us good fruits, the important point is not what else the other is doing or not doing, or how it is, but what me, you, or us together can do with that. For instance, how the other is behaving is not your problem and not mine, even if in the interactions is also interacting with me or with you. In their interactions, it's not my problem, first of all, because I cannot solve it, first of all. Because what I can resolve is my problem, is one of my problems, which I can solve. But as the other person is behaving, I cannot do effectively nothing. I can look in which way I can help him to change, to help himself to change, but I can't change the other myself. So what is happening here is that in many, many situations we project how we want the things to be, where the true power of action that each one of us has is only the way in which we relate to that situation, that be a person or context. I don't know if it's clear, this. It's coming to my mind the quotation from a book casually this morning. It was in my hand. The name is Il Cammino dell'Uomo, The Path of the Man, of the Mankind. Many times I talk about this book. I don't know how many of you have read. I take one part, an extract of this text. I noted it in my phone because it was very interesting for me, because he's saying what I want to say, but in a very simple way. In a simpler way. Let's see if it's working here. It's an extract, a short one, that says, to start from yourself. This is the only thing that counts, really. In this precise instant, I should not occupy myself at this beginning. So start with myself. This is the real truth. In this exact moment, I should not take care of any other things, that it is this. Any other taken a position is distract me from these good beginnings, and it attach my good intention to apply myself. The point of Archimedes, starting from where I can start from my side, lift up the world, is the transformation of myself. Even if I put 2 points of lifting, one in my soul and the other in the other one, which is similar to me but in conflict with me, all this open perspective that opens suddenly to me is vanishing. So the point is not the other point of standing. It's not only the soul or the behavior of the other. They're all the situations that I think should be different if I can realize what I want to be myself. The reality is that how long you want to wait for that, the more time the longer you victimize yourself, and we don't take acts of the power of our own actions, the more difficult would come out of these situations. So it's not the behavior of each and anyone, it's not in impact or in importance. I don't want to say that we have a passive attitude in front of the world, but we have to remember where really I can make a difference, and the only way where I can do the difference is the way on how I interact, the word I say, the physical attitude that I have, for instance, the way on how I go to buy the things. This is an impact in the wholeness of the context, the world context. Each meal I make, each thing I do in reality has an impact in the environment. But the single thing that I can do is take care of how I interact. And the most important thing is starting from our own thought process, how we live our life, the emotions that we live and we feel. So what is most important for me, to live in a perfect world or to have a balanced and healthy way, let's say perfect way of living in this world? Okay. The rhetoric answer is, what is more important? To have an healthy and balanced way to live in the world. But I don't want the rhetoric answer. I want to know really, effectively, in the deeper of ourselves, what we really want, because of what we want, about what I want, we put the energy. So it's so important to ask ourselves 1, 2, 3 times what I want. Do I want to live in a perfect world, which I mean that this person is like that and the other should not be as that, and the other way? Or I want to have the resources to live well in the world where I live and interact well with what is surrounding me, the people. Also because if I have to wait to be okay so that all the world around me will be okay, it's trick, it's a failure. It's I don't know your personal experience, but what I can see, the problem they are always there. They will always be there. If it's not one thing, it's another. Sometimes we can distract ourselves. Now is the time of vacations, holidays, so one is going in a beautiful place, eat something good, do something different, and then they say, oh, what a paradise. If you stay there more than few weeks, what's happened? You can keep that wellness, that happy state. Imagine the dream place where you would like to go on holiday, mountain, at the seaside, wherever. Imagine what you want. One goes in Tibet and say, okay, live there for a few weeks, then we talk back again about this point. Go to the seaside. It's a wonderful place, but stay 1 month, few months there, then we will look if you still have the same sensation of pleasure or wellness, or after some times this start to come and satisfactions, problems, and the usual conflicts, internal conflicts. I'm sorry, but I think it's really like that, because if it would be different, you can find the most beautiful place, the one you like, and you will be happy. But I never saw something like that. I remember when I was 4 months in Tibet, in a wonderful place for many, many aspects. And one of the things that make me smile, when some friends comes to talk about me or the monastery, Tashilupo monastery, and then we have some intimacy, they come to tell their story, their problems, their difficulties, that are the human dynamics, like everywhere. I'm jealous about that, why this why this did that, why the other person do that, so say that. Then that many other wonderful aspects, but the problems, the human problems, problematics are always there. So the essence is wherever we go, we bring ourselves. So what my invitation to you is try to paint, picture out one image in your mind, who I want to be from inside to outside. Maybe someone of us did already these experiments. We do it again. We repeat it in these days that we will spend together. It would be 1 week, 2 days, or whatever time you have free to follow. The idea is the first, to try to reinforce the image in myself, who I want to be, to become effectively, to start to work on that direction. And when we can do this, really, it's a great, enormous gift that we can give to ourselves, and also a gift that we offer to the world. Because it's not possible, really, to develop the most important part of altruism and love and to help the world when we are not able to even take care of ourselves and to have clarity in what we want, on what we want. Then further in the next days, we will talk about altruism and the importance of respect and love, which is fundamental. But we start from this point, first point. Another important aspect, I will reassume here with an anecdote. Several years ago, I was here in Albagnano. We are building up the temple, and the person which gives so much support for the economic constructions, realization of the temple. She's a businesswoman, very busy all the time, and she has a lot of economic resources. What she lacks was the time, because she was always busy. And then she took 6 days, 5, 6 days, could carve it out from her agenda to stay with her master, my master, Lama Rinpoche. In one of these days that she was here, Lama Gancha says, tomorrow you go to the mountain with Lama Michel. I saw she said yes to my guru with a lot of respect, but then I spied that she was not so happy to come with me, and say, yes, I would like to go, but finally we went in a nearby place, which the name is Alpedevero, then we stayed there all day, then we come back in the evening, and sitting together at dinner with Lama Ganchen, he asked her how it was, your excursion in the mountain. To be sincere, I didn't want to go because I was so attached to stay more close to you all the time. But then I say I only 5 days to stay with my masters as to 1 day outside. But why? But the truth is that was really helped me a lot. I feel so happy that I've gone. And Lama Ganche said something very important. He said, you're helping to build up a temple, which is a sacred place, and this is very beautiful and important for many reasons. But we should not forget that the most sacred places and sites are the most important temple are the places, the natural places, the forest, the mountains, and so forth, are the place of pilgrimage where we go to meditate for centuries and millennium. The great practitioners, when they search a sacred place to stay, to feel healthy and happy and to go deep in their practices, normally they don't go to the temple. They went to the mountains, in the caves, in the middle of the forest, in the natural space and environment, uncontaminated. The environment where we find ourselves has an impact on ourselves. And the environment, the natural environment, nearby we have the forest, there is the bush, behind we have the mountains, this reserve, natural reserves. They have an enormous power to help us, and we should use them to help us to increase our awareness, to develop of love and wisdom and so forth. So for this reason, today afternoon we will go to do the practice of meditation. It's a little moment of sharing that we meet here in the temple. We go together to the bush. We try to recreate our contact with nature because it's something that I often see that is often lacking. There is a side which I like also. Some people like small and to others less. But according to me, we have to go a little bit out of our comfort. Our comforts, we are so attached to our comforts. So to go and sitting on the ground, but if there are the fleas, I got it many times, tens and tens of time. I'm still here. They come, the flea. They come. You turn them with the with the pin in anti-clockwise, and you liberate. Also, this is not the time. It was more in summertime, in the full summer. But to come out of this is really healthy. Sometimes also be in the middle of the forest. We don't go very far. It's 5 minutes from the temple. Starts already. It's something in a way to take refuge in the nature. Go to walk on the mountains. Try to have an experience of that, and to observe the effect that has inside of us. Because what it happens that we get used to that. If we use an external instrument like the environment to help ourselves, we familiarized with that. And another interesting that it is a curiosity more. Another interesting things, according to the Chinese medicine, they say that one of the principal difference to go to the seaside or to the mountains, or at least in the countryside, close to the mountain, is that the seaside has the characteristic to drain down the chi, the energy, and the mountain has the characteristic to nourish that chi, that energy. It is interesting because when a person is too full of thoughts, the mind is helpful because it helps to empty the mountain. So all this idea to stay all day in the seaside to do, in brackets, nothing, in somehow it helps to soften all this agitation, this tension that we accumulate in our bodies. And the mountain, from the other side, generates more energy, but helps also to have more level of energy. So I'm not against the seaside, but they have two precise different characteristics. According to me, the mountain is very healthy for us. The mountain has this characteristic, in my own experience, that the more you go higher, and the more it empties the mind in a good sense. You reach to the stage of internal silence, but then depends how much noise internal you have, inner noise. But it generates more energy in the mountain. And I invite you, so in the days that we are here, at least one time each time we go in a long walk, a couple of hours or a little bit more, just to know the surroundings of our temple. I'm not sure about the time. If I do alone, I have an idea, but if we go with a big group, the times are different, should be calculated differently. But the most important is sit in the bush, in the green, in the woods, and breathe. This is already so healthy for us. It's enormous benefit brings. So I also ask other friends of us that I know if they can also offer something to do in the late afternoon and evening. We have different activities and practices offered to walk together in this direction. The intention also during this week is what Lama was saying in a very simple way, was saying in English. We need to transform holidays into holy days. We have to transform vacations time in holy days. The days becomes holy when they comes activate an inner process of growth, inner growth, to familiarize ourselves with what is good for us and try to live it well and to relax, rest in the process, but to start also an inner process, development process. So I invite you today also to reflect and question yourself where I'm going effectively, which are my priorities, because the danger which I see for people who is a long time in the Buddhism that follow the Dharma teachings from long times, that at a certain point it can happen, but not necessarily it can happen, but it could happen, that conceptually we have a quite clear idea, the Four Noble Truths, reach the nirvana, what I want to reach, inner peace, and so. And we have this comprehension in direction that is there, but at a certain point that direction stays fixated, stuck in that intellectual process, and we try still to create a perfect world around us, which is not the point. So it's a little bit like what I want conceptually. I want to go out of the samsara and become a Buddha. In a practical way, what I want, a comfortable samsara. Okay, this is the danger. Because who is talking stronger is the practical level to what he speaks stronger. So it's important to question ourselves, review our direction that we want to follow. And one of the first steps for us is somehow to fall in love with the inner peace, to give priority to that. I want to be okay, at peace with myself and others. What does it mean, this? To have love, satisfaction, kindness, and so forth, compassion, live an inner and external life, healthy style of life. If this looks too much, we can do also simple objectives. I just want to be calm, quiet. It's already something. But starting from what I can do and not from the point of view of the expectations, what the other are doing or how the world should change. And this without taking away something that we are all influenced by what surrounds us. But the starting point that bring us transformation on it should be on how I live my life, how I put myself interact with the situation where I'm in. This is a little bit the direction which I want to give as an opener of this week. And so I came back very late to the center, so I reached this morning, early morning here back in Albagnano. So I telephoned to Alor, which takes care of the printing. Please print out some copies of this text. So hopefully for tomorrow you will be available for each one of us, and or tomorrow, today or tomorrow. The name of the booklet is Methods to Realize Inner Peace of the Lochon, which are several texts. For me, is one of the most precious books that I have. It's a collection of 4 texts, very, very important, very short, but very important. The jewel, Garland of Jewels of Bodhisattva, the mental training in 8 points, the mental training in 7 points, and then the medicine to vomit, to throw out the inner tumor of selfishness. This text should be forbidden to the minor of 18 years old, because you have to read it when you have already acquired a certain standard of stability in the Dharma. You have to read it with a certain awareness, and presupposes level of spiritual maturity. If you have it already, or otherwise who can have it tomorrow, it will be useful for tomorrow, so we can follow better. So we stop here for now, and we come back at 3:30.
Drove munsela takto ne gyurchi kewa kuntu yanda lama dang dralme cheki pela longche ching sadan lamge yente rabzo ne dorje change kopa nyurto visho nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan dele kshin Ninsen takto delek pe koncho sumki chingi lo koncho sumki ngodrubut sol koncho sumki trashisho. All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il giorno, possano i 3 gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni. Possono aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and spring all the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Buon appetito.